Welcome back to another episode of the Your Best Lifestyles Health and Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Terrence Hutchinson, right here at the Old Robinson Public Relations and Media Group Studios in Marietta, Georgia, on the outskirts of Atlanta, in the suburbs of Atlanta. What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday. It is November the 30th. Happy holidays. I hope you guys had a great holiday. Hope you guys were able to enjoy family members, friends, have some good foods, didn't eat too much, didn't overindulge that much. Hope you guys didn't have too much sugars and alcohol, all that stuff like that. But we are excited to be here tonight. We are full of gratitude for the holidays, for Thanksgiving, for having the ability to celebrate with family members and friends. You know, we're showing joy and just showing a great sense of togetherness, laughter, fun and games, good food, all that good stuff like that, you know. And the holidays is very challenging for so many people. As you know, so many people lost loved ones. They're not here anymore. Just recently, people are dealing with the pain of a lost loved one, are dealing still with grief early this year from a lost loved one, with a spouse or kids, you know, of whatever it is, you know. And so my prayers goes out to everybody who's going through the holiday season with a loss of a family member. I know how painful that can be. And we just want to say, you know, keep your head up, keep going, and you guys will be okay long term. You know, I know it's hard, I know it's very challenging, but we want to make sure that you guys are okay. Yeah, man, it was cold out today in Atlanta. 31 degrees, you know, we're not used to that. But we do what we do. See, not too long coming, so I'm still bundled up with a little scarf. And but we just happy to be here, man. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to say, you know, thank you to each and every one of you guys who tune into the show, subscribe, download, listen to us in the gym, in your office, in traffic, you know, wherever you may be. You know, we really appreciate the love. As you know, we are in 53 countries and 1.3 million listeners, and it's a big deal. We're trying to grow. This is a health and wellness segment, and we talk everything health and wellness. You know, we're not talking just about, you know, walking and, you know, running, jumping, all that stuff. We're talking about psychological health, emotional health, spiritual, financial, environmental, as well as occupational health. There's 8 different levels of health and wellness. So we like to touch on all of it because we get so caught up in let's work out on all the physical stuff, but it's so much more to wellness than just exercise. And we got to focus on that if we want to be a more well-rounded individual in our lives, right? So we want to make sure that we are continue to be assets and not liabilities. Like, we got to really focus on our mental health, like especially right now in this day's climate. There's so much information coming towards us at 5G speed on our cell phones. You know, a lot of people are dealing with a lot of uncertainty, fixed finances. They're dealing with a lot of things that they're seeing on social media. A lot of they're dealing with mental health issues, depression, anxiety, you know, PTSD, like the list goes on. And we want to make sure that you are gentle with yourself. You are able to talk to yourself in a manner that, you know, you are congratulating yourself on the small victories, and you're being patient with yourself. These things are huge strategies if you want to make sure that your mind and your heart is operating in unison, you know, and give yourself some credit for how far you come already. So some of you guys, especially doing the coaching that I do, y'all don't give yourself breaks. You got to give yourself a break, okay? Tell yourself, hey, you're doing a great job. Pat yourself on the back. Congratulations. Keep up the good work, you know, and don't try to control things that you cannot control. Everybody trying to be in control. If you can't control it, then just Just step out of it, okay? I'm gonna say that about that. Okay, so it's a lot of announcements, but I'm gonna skip past that. I'm not gonna hold you. We're gonna get straight to the show. I'm really excited about this show because we our next guest, he goes by the name of Matthew Kinslow. Now, Matthew has grown up with autism spectrum disorder. As a result, his life has been filled with adventures and struggle. Not allowing it autism to stop him, he became an author of two books and is telling the world that it is like living what it's like living with a disability, how people can be friends with them, and how everybody has a purpose despite having a disability, right? Matthew has appeared on television, radio, and podcasts around the world with his story, y'all. Being featured in Newsweek magazine, Spectrum News, ABC7 Los Angeles, and many, many more. Now, Matthew today has over 1 million people following his story on social media, and that's a huge impact. Encouraging people to embrace their gifts that they have to share with the world, and that not anybody can do anybody can do whatever they see set their heart and mind to do, disability or not. Welcome to the show, Matthew Kinslow. How you doing today, Matthew?
I'm doing good. It's a pleasure.
uh, First of all, thank you for coming on our show. It's a blessing to have you here. As you know, this is a health and wellness show, and we talk about everything health and wellness. And it doesn't matter if you're handicapped, disabled, you're elite athlete, mom or pop. It doesn't matter. We love to interview everybody. So tell everybody what was that moment for you when that sparked the idea that you want to write the book.
I've always loved writing since I was in early elementary school, insofar as getting disciplined for writing too much. But I always loved writing stories, creating stories. So I guess I knew I was destined one day. And when I got into my first semester of college, I started writing again independently. And I was writing about a character with autism. And I'm like, if I'm going to start it this time, I'm going to finish it and get it published. And long story
Mm-hmm.
short, no pun intended, I got my first book published in 2019.
Mm. Congratulations on that. Now, what was the emotional connection when you first held the book in your hand?
It was the amazing moment of my life, June 13th, 2019. And it was a lot of stress, like getting it ready and getting it shipped here. And I opened the package and then I flipped through the pages of my book and I'm like, I wrote this. I guess
Yeah.
there's a little pride there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, most definitely. Because once you get it, you touch it in your hands, you flip it through the page. First of all, opening the packages. When my first book first came in, I couldn't open it. I was excited. I had my mother open it for me. She said, "You're such a wuss." I was like, "Man, you don't understand. I put a great deal of work in this first book, and it's an amazing feeling." I like to ask authors that question: what was your emotional connection to it? I know it was excitement, but when you get to feel it, you get to smell it, you can see your name on it, you can see the glossary of the photos and the cover and all that stuff like that. It was just an amazing feeling. So, how does your spectrum disorder influence your writing style and approach?
I suppose as a person with autism, I love writing and I loved like learning more vocabulary words and implementing diction and such. So, and then writing about my experiences with autism was like a catharsis for me. It's like it's kind of a relief in a way, as well as doing what I can to encourage others.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what is the misconception about autism that you want to share?
There are some myths that I like to dispel about autism. Some people say that we cannot feel emotions, but I, for one, could say that I could empathize.
Hmm.
To sympathize, like if something happens, I may not know how to. I may not know the right words at the time. I mean, my facial expression might not match what is expected, but in my heart, I could be broken over some things. Some people say that we might hate socializing, but I, for one, am not antisocial. I desire to spend time with my friends. I was just too nervous and shy. Some of us say that we don't have a sense of humor, but I got the most sense of humor of class certificate in fifth grade.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you this. I don't like being around a lot of people. I've always been like that. I was like, even I was social distancing before social distancing. So I feel you on that. I I I I wrote papers and I spoke on autism in 2017. I was doing a lot of research on it. I didn't have a whole lot of information on it, and I realized uh, the Rain Man movie. It came out with Dustin Hoffman, and then the real Red Man. I read little inserts about his life. So it was that, and then there was another movie with Bruce Willis. He did with a young guy. He was autistic, and he had some secrets he found on the CDs, and it was coded in numbers and all that stuff like that. Nobody can decipher what it was, but the young guy was autistic, and he was able to crack the code, and all of a sudden he got to run for his life. And I realized that, over the years, talking with a lot of autistic individuals, like it's actually really not a disability. It's a superpower somewhere in there. Like, that you're able to, brilliant with math, brilliant with putting things together, brilliant with deciphering things. I'm like, wow, I can't, I'm not that good at math, and I can't see code. Like, I know people who are great with code. They're great with numbers. They're great with building things. They're engineers and all that stuff like that. But they grew up autistic. So would you say that autism is a superpower to you if you look at it in your own perspective?
Yeah, I would say that autism is like a different ability, not like a disability, but like a different ability to live life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's given me a different lens with which to view the world. And I
Mm-hmm.
found connections and finding patterns and things in numbers. So I'm a person that loves math. So it's probably the connection there.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's beautiful. Do you have any specific strategies or routines that help you stay focused and productive when you're doing your writing process?
Yeah, there's like a few, like part of writing, I get to express what's in my head and what's in my heart in
Mm-hmm.
words. And sometimes some parts take longer than others to write out. And some strategies that I found, while studying or writing is something called stimming. And stimming are things that people with autism do. And this is like repetitive behavior. And it's a form of self-regulation. And for me, like if I'm lightly rocking back and forth, it helps me concentrate, helps me focus and read faster. So, or write.
Yeah.
And that's something.
Yeah. Now, how was physical activity for you coming up? I know a lot of autistic kids. Their parents put them in boxing or karate, those type of sports like contact sports. Even soccer to keep them really active. What type of sports did you play? Activity levels did you do when you was coming up?
When I was about 5 and 6, I did take karate, but I wasn't the ideal student, so they said come back later, and I never did though. But in later in elementary, I got into handball, and then sixth grade I got into softball, and then in middle school and high school I just ran for fun, not like track or cross country, even though all my
Hmm.
friends encouraged me, but I just like running in basic sports.
Yeah, yeah. I asked that question because it's so active. Like my sister-in-law grandson is 3 years old, and he's autistic, and he was over for Thanksgiving. So he's coming. Like his speech is a little impaired right now. He's not really speaking it as of yet. So sign language and everything like that is very prominent, and but very smart, very smart. Like he loves puzzles and music. He can hear music like I can't even hear it. And so My son has drum sets. He went down there. He was playing the drums like it was nothing. Like he play a song and he goes down there and he, as soon as he hear it, he go to bah, 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 and he can draw like he'll see an image and just draw something on the paper. I said, wow, it's very talented, and so, but he's not speaking as of yet. However, he's in speech therapy and all that stuff like that. But a lot of things that he's doing now as a 3-year old autistic kid, most kids who are considered, quote, normal, they can't do what he do, you know? So they say, oh, he don't understand, he don't play with us and all that stuff like that. He isolates himself because he can feel like, okay, he's not like them. So even going through therapy, he realizes that, he's different. But he has a unique gifts of music, drawing, numbers, and he loves magnets and then putting things together. Like, it's crazy. And normal kids, so they say, they can't do what he can do, but he can see stuff and put something. It's a crazy, not crazy, but it's an amazing feeling to watch and see what he does, right? Because I'm always curious, like what he's going to do next. So it's not a disability. These acts is actually, I always say, a superpower. Like, okay, he's doing great things. So what was your diet like coming up? Because I know you had to stay away from mostly sugar and candy and stuff like that. But what was your diet like as a young kid coming up?
Well, I wasn't really told of any restrictions necessary, but I've just ate a lot of normal stuff. But, some things were a bit hard to try new things, and other things I just got bored of it. And after a while, so.
Awesome. Awesome. That's what's up. I know because the diet, plays an important part is, what they're saying as a nutritionist, they were saying that stay away from sugar and all that stuff like that, make it hyperactive. And a lot of people was feeding their kids like hot dogs and dinosaur nuggets, and it was like, oh, this is bad, casein and hot dogs. So I was curious about what was your upbringing like as far as nutrition. Now let's talk on the book. Tell everybody what's the name of the books that you wrote, and where can they find the books?
My first book is Juggling the Issues, and it's about the ups and downs of autism, where each chapter is an up, a down, or an organization that gave me a chance and helped me out, or a catharsis. Like I like music too, like playing piano. And then my second book is Unstoppable, that came out about 11 months ago, and it chronicles my journey as a student teacher at Ensign Intermediate. I student taught enhanced mathematics, so Algebra 1. And then I became a substitute teacher, so I talk about those adventures. And the purpose and the hope is that it would encourage aspiring teachers or any profession, especially for those with disabilities, that they could set their heart and mind to do anything as long as it's practical.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, my daughter, she was diagnosed as MR when she was like 3 years ago, and I didn't. My ex-wife at the time, they kind of like accepted it and they treated her like it was a limitation. And I wasn't a huge fan of that because I was more like, it's treat her normal. So many things that she can do, whatever. So there was always challenges as far as conflict in the marriage with that is concerned. But she's grown now, almost 30 years old. But it was always challenging. And I would tell anybody, like, look, let's figure out all the things that you're great at. Let's focus on the things that you really inspires you, that you're passionate about, and let's work on that. A lot of clients that I work with who suffer from a lot of disabilities, like they're great at what they do. And it's like, I don't worry about the things that I find challenging or a limitation. I only focus on the things that I'm great at and to make me become better. And so even if they're have been in a wheelchair for a while, they're still doing exercise. They're still doing pull-ups in the wheelchair. It's like an amazing thing. I can't even do that. They're doing muscle ups in a wheelchair. I can't even do that. So it's like, doing all the amazing things that you can do is one of those things. Like it's no limitations. Just find all the things that you love to do and then do it. And like right now, like you teaching, you're playing the piano, you're great at math. It's like you said algebra. Oh my God, I suck at algebra. So it's like all these things that you're doing. You're right. You didn't let life stop you, man. You know what I'm saying? You did not, and I appreciate you for sharing that, because so many people, they're like, oh, well, I was born this way, or I have this disorder, so I'm just gonna take my disability check and move on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but talking with individuals like yourself is inspiring, man. So, what was your journey to a diagnosis like?
When I was 3, I wasn't speaking right. I had a speech delay, so I was diagnosed at age 3. So I was enrolled in the preschool intervention program when I was 4, and by 6 years old, I got the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. But I actually wasn't formally told until high school, till like I was a ninth grader. I knew I had pullouts like speech therapy, RSP, which stands for Resource Specialist Program. And in ninth grade, I asked my mom if I had, something, and she said what I was diagnosed with. And at that moment, my entire life seemed to make sense at that point. And then within the next few years, I became an advocate.
Awesome. I mean, if you're dealing with something like autism, it's great to become an advocate, to talk about it, because there's a lot of people. Me personally, I know families who deal with autism, and there's not a whole lot of advocacy out there. Well, some people feel like it's not, but there's a lot of information out there compared to what it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's a lot of groups out there. It's a lot of new studies and researchers out there that can really help advance autism or help people with the disability live normal lives. So to have somebody who is educated and teaching and playing musical instruments and all those things of that nature, that's a huge boost to people's self-esteem and morale. Not just to the sufferer, but for all the family members involved. Mother, father, cousins, whoever is siblings. So that's a big deal. So, how do you navigate social interactions and communication challenges in your daily life?
Nowadays, I say that it's easier than when I was, especially in middle school and high school. By 11th grade, I started to talk to my friends and just explain to a couple of them I'm just shy, and they helped me out as a result. And over the last decade, I feel like I'm getting better in terms of like going up to people and starting conversations, but it's always easier if they beckon me to join their conversation. But I find like I'm a little bit more outgoing now.
That's great, man. I know it could have been a lot challenging for you, but right now you're good. You gotten comfortable in your life with it. You're advocate, for it. So it becomes easy over time. I can imagine. Probably was a little challenging for you early in your life, obviously, but now it's like, okay, I got a handle on some things. You can be a very productive person. Well, you are a very productive person. So, what advice would you give other autistic individuals who are struggling with their mental health or well-being?
The advice I love to give is don't allow the label, such as autism, to stop you or slow you down in any way. And I believe that anyone can do whatever they set to their heart and mind to do, as long as it's practical. And behind the disability, we have a heart and a mind. Don't bottle things up inside. Like if you are holding things inside, find someone that you could trust and talk it out. And just, you what, like I came up with like be number one, which in my definition means you know what you want to do in life, you know what's going to bring you joy, yet even in the face of adversity, you choose to never give up on what you want to do and who you want to be.
That's right. Never give up, man. But they say, old saying is like adversity introduces a man to himself. So if you're going through adversity, just embrace it because you're gonna find something about yourself in the adversity moment. Like I know a lot of people, as soon as they hit a setback or a bump or get a bad diagnosis or something like that, it's a lot of adversity and they just become paralyzed. They just shut down. They go into depression, anxiety, those mental health issues really shut them down. And you're absolutely right. You can't allow these things to paralyze you mentally. You just got to be like, okay, this is what it is. This is my life now. I'm gonna deal with it. And that's a great thing. So, were there any specific challenges you faced while writing your book?
Well, the writing part was easy. The challenge part was getting it published. Like, it was in the publishing houses for a long time. Like, this last book I wrote, it took double as long. Like, instead of 3 months, it was actually 6 months. But yeah, the writing part is easy. I mean, I momentarily had times where I had to think about how do I phrase things. And also a challenge was overwriting, which I've had for over 20 years, that challenge. But I had to cut down several pages for both my books afterward.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Now you've been featured in Newsweek magazine. You've been featured in a lot of major media outlets. How did it make you feel the first time being on the outlets? Were you nervous? Were you excited? What was the emotion with that?
I'd say both. Like, my first PR campaign was the summer of 2022, and so that's how I got introduced to Newsweek and later ABC7 Spectrum News. And I was a guy bit like in my mind was like, finally, this is what I want to do. But at the same time, I was still needing to like know how to phrase all the questions and all of my answers. So after a couple of years, I feel more comfortable now.
After a couple of what?
A couple of years
Oh,
of doing media.
Sound like you said after a couple of beers.
Oh no, no, after a couple of years. So.
Okay, I was like, huh? That's why I asked you that. After a couple of what? Okay,
No.
yeah. Like right now, you're doing great. This is easy flowing, and which is cool, man. How do you feel about the portrayal of autistic characters in popular media, like movies and stuff? Like I mentioned earlier, like Dustin Hoffman and Rain Man, which is a huge, huge success, iconic movie. How do you feel now in the present time when you see autistic individuals being portrayed in movies?
From what I observe, I don't really watch a lot of like movies or shows these days, but I do catch clips online sometimes, and I'm just thankful when I see like close to accurate portrayals instead of like a disparaging one or something. Like
Right.
now it's like more accurate and building more awareness, and that's what I'm for. The first time I heard of autism actually was from a Lifetime movie called Miracle Run about two boys with autism, and that was an eye opener.
Hmm. Now, do you feel like that show has a great representation of it, or?
Miracle Run, I believe so, because like one of the sons was a great drawer but couldn't speak. Like he's an artist, and another one had echolalia, which is like repeating what they heard, what they
Yeah.
hear and such. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, what do you hope readers would take away from your book?
The awareness of autism, like this is what we go through, this is what goes on in our minds, in our hearts, as well as, and then eventual acceptance of people with autism. And those are like for the neurotypicals. And then for the neurodivergence, people with autism or any disability reading, that they would be encouraged and motivated that if I could accomplish what I accomplished, then they could accomplish whatever they set to their heart and mind to as well.
Now, are you planning on releasing any more books?
I actually started with the trilogy that's like 99% written. That's the fictional character with autism book, but I'm not positive if I'll publish that later.
Yeah, well, you might change your mind. Something might hit you. You'd be like, okay, yeah, this is a must need. Put it out there, man. Why not? You know,
Yeah.
uh, you never know how it's going to impact somebody's life. I feel that what you're doing is incredible work. It's your life purpose. It's much needed. Knowing people who suffer from the autism, like I said, we have a 3-year-old nephew who is autistic, and just kind of learning sign language a little bit, learning how to be patient and really respectful for him too. Just being there for him. And this is my first time having a family member have autistic autistic diagnosis. So, we have to learn how to educate ourselves, work with the doctors, the speech pathologists, and all that stuff like that. Daycare, it's a learning experience for us, and we have to be patient. So, I understand. It's challenging for everybody involved. But, just like you, as you grew up to be a very successful and productive adult, we hope and pray for the same thing for Kai coming up, and he has yeah, limit. How important was it for you to have as a great support group? Because most people, they don't have a support group. Like, can you talk a little bit more about the importance of having a support group?
Yes, I believe that having support groups where you get to meet people in like a close circle is very good. It could probably help you feel included. You get to meet and talk with people, and I know a lot out there, so I believe it's important.
Awesome, man. Support group is everything. I don't care if you what you're dealing with. It doesn't matter. You need support. You need a group of people that's going to help you, pray for you, guide you, whatever it is. Because I know people who grew up with autism or other paranoid schizophrenia, bipolar rhythm, and then they didn't have the support group that they needed coming up. And as they become a young adult and an older adult, they was always being labeled as crazy, stay away from them, this and that, and because of that, they lashed out and started doing uh, drugs and alcohol and got into legal trouble, as far as criminal activity, stuff like that. I was working at a mental health hospital. We treat drug addiction and mental health patients. And a lot of people came in with similar traits. And so, as we were doing a lot of counsels and reading through records and stuff of the patient, talking with social workers, and that's when I came to realize that, oh man, this person didn't have the support that he or she needed. And as they got older, the family member kind of like, got away from them because they feel like it was too unstable. He was lashing out at school and everything like that. And the guy just got in trouble. Just kept getting in trouble because he was looking for the love. He wasn't getting the love, so he figured, okay, if I join a gang or if I do other things, I can get the attention that I crave. He just needed the love, and he didn't get it. So by him to get it, he had to do certain things. So when people come and, communicate with him or just being locked up, he received the attention, he received the love. But unfortunately, they stopped putting him on medication, and the medication caused a lot of adverse side effects that really caused him other psychological damage. And so it's just a vicious cycle because I know for a fact having the right support group, having family members or doctors and social workers, therapists, and all that stuff like that is very critical for a successful life. And not everybody has that. So we're glad to see that, obviously, you're very successful at what you're doing, educated, and everything is just seem great. So we're glad to see your success story, and it's an amazing feeling to see. So what do you think is the most important thing for people to understand about autism?
One of the important things I'd say is just that we're not really different than anyone else. It's just how our minds work, and sometimes we need to take our time in many things, from homework and studying and processing to even a junior college. So when I went to a JC, I spent 5 years there, and it was a 2-year school. But I just needed to, you know, take fewer classes, and I felt taking fewer classes, I could learn more and get more out of it than overloading with a lot of classes.
Yeah, and that makes sense. That makes sense. Eric Thomas, Dr. Eric Thomas, he said it took him 12 years to get a 4-year degree, and he said it didn't matter how long it took him. He's here now, and he's one of the best motivational speakers in the world, and so that's an amazing thing. So most people, they feel like if they have to do it that way, they feel like it's taking too long and they quit. They don't have the patience. They don't have the intestinal fortitude to see themselves go through it because it's too intense for them. And but you stood your ground. You're like, okay, I'm gonna do it this way because this works for me, and I'm gonna get this degree. And was this a personal thing that you wanted to do for yourself, or were you being pressured to say, okay, go to school, get an education?
I wasn't really pressured necessarily. I mean, and I think that's why I continued, because I wanted to. I wanted to do it.
Awesome. Yeah. And now you accomplished that. That's a goal. Now you write 2 books. You're working on a 3rd book. You're an advocate for autism. You're just doing amazing things, man. You can't let a disability set you back. That's the message that I want to put out. Like, so many people let their disability set them back, and you are a testament to, your hard work. You are a testament to your grit, your tenacity, and the ability to stay strong and push through, man. So a lot of people, you need to congratulate yourself about that, because a lot of people can't do it. A lot of people are like, oh, it's too tough. Like I said, they don't have the support group, or I feel weak about it. But not you. You stood the course, and you're still going. So may I ask you, how old are you right now?
29.
29. You're a young man, right? So you got so much more to contribute on a global stage. You're doing so much right now. So at 29, just imagine where you're going to be at 49. Just imagine that, like another 20 years of staying there on that track. Just imagine what you're going to write, what you're going to accomplish, where you're going to be, who you're going to be talking to. It's a crazy thing. Just imagine somebody picking up your book 20 years from now. It's like, you know what? Your book really helped me through some pressure points in my life. If it wasn't for your book, I don't think I would have made it through my ordeals dealing with autism. If it wasn't for you saying what you said on that podcast, if it wasn't for you, you see what I'm saying? So this is the power of writing and standing strong inside yourself and producing on the global stage. Like, a lot of times when we put stuff out, we feel that, nobody's going to listen, nobody's going to buy the book or pay attention. But it's always a few people that may run across your material, run across your intellectual property, or run across you in public and be like, oh, it was you. It was your material that helped my loved one or to help me. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of those feelings that, a sense of pride. It's a sense that you've contributed something to help change somebody's life, even if it's just one life at a time. I wrote a book about successfully reversing type 2 diabetes. And people was diagnosed for years. And people come and say, because of your book, because of you and your story, what you did with diabetes, I was able to successfully reverse my diabetes because of your book, you know. And the first time I heard that, I was like, man, that is crazy. And that's how I know firsthand experience talking to you about it. It's going to be individuals who come up to you eventually and be like, because of you, Matt, I was able to do this. You know, because of you, I was able to, fix myself to where I want. I was able to go and do what you did to go survive in college. You know what I'm saying? Where they felt like college might have been something that's out of their way. And they said, because of your story and your strategy of learning, I took a play out of your book and I followed your blueprint. And then I did the same thing. And now here I am. So you just never know uh, who you're going to touch. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit more about masking, right? Do you ever felt pressure to mask your autistic traits? And how has this affected your identity and creativity?
The first time I heard of masking was back in 2021, almost like 4 years ago, and that's when my eyes were open that this might have been what I was inadvertently doing all my life, was trying to act normal and such. And I personally come to the conclusion that you, no one should feel like they have to mask or be ashamed of who they are, and people could just accept that, and people could become more aware and accept us who have autism or any disabilities. So that's kind of been my story.
Yeah, when masking, when you tried to mask and fit in, did you feel any different when you was doing that? Did you feel like you was trying too hard, to fit in? You weren't being Matthew at the time.
Exactly. I didn't feel like myself, and one of my earliest recollections was like in the middle of elementary school, and I just tried to do what my friends were doing and their lingo and all that. I just didn't feel like myself.
Yeah, and a lot of people who don't suffer from autism, they try to do that. They do that every day. They be masking, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're not. That's not even you. But because you have the feeling that you need to fit in, that you need to be in with the in crowd, you're masking. And I can see cracks in people's masks. Like, you're masking right now. And so masking is one of those things that really I'm not impressed. You know, and it's nothing really wrong. It's a mental health issue if you're not trying to be you, and you're always trying to mimic what's happening for everybody else. Like, that's that's called low self-esteem. That's called lack of confidence. You don't have that ability to really be yourself. It's like some people look in the mirror, it's like they don't like anything that what they see. That's why you see a lot of people getting makeovers all the time. They never did like themselves. And it's just amazing to me how people do that. So when it comes down to my questions here, what strategies do you employ to manage intense emotions, both in your personal life and your professional life?
Well, see, I've talked about some earlier, like stimming for concentration, and another form of stimming can be like tapping to like a rhythm beat and all that, and also giving myself time to just be silent, to think, to process something that's going in my head, and able to get that talked out, and then I could continue with what I'm doing. And another thing that helps take like 20 pounds of weight off of me is making a to-do list.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. You ever seen the movie The Accountant with
I
what's his name? Ben Affleck.
I don't think I've seen it.
You should go see that movie. That movie, he grew up autistic in his family, military brat with his older brother, and he had to listen to loud noises. Like he turned on loud music and to regulate him. His father took him, taught him self defense and great with math, and when you said tapping or sitting quietly, everything has to be. I think he had OCD a lot, like really bad. Like everything has to be in place. But tapping was one of those things that he used. So he had to stimulate his sensory to really get him to stay on point. So that's when you said tapping, that triggered that movie for me because he was a very intense guy in this movie. Calm externally, but if you cross him, very intense guy, very dangerous, and he's always, tapping and listening to loud music, and he was doing a lot of different things that keep him focused, keep him in line and stuff like that. But he grew up to be very successful, very very rich.
Mhm.
So the movie was really good. So any final words of encouragement? What do you like to? Well, you already talked about for people who suffering from autism. What are some encouraging words that you can leave with them, and then tell everybody where can they find the book and how can they follow you?
Yeah, well, I've given some encouragements, like just don't bottle things up inside and don't allow the label to stop you. But others that, the B number one encouragement that I talked about earlier, I I expound on that, and it's like the truth is that everyone's unique just the way they are, and we have unique skill sets and different levels of mastery per skill. And what I encourage people, what I encourage students, my assemblies, even is don't try to be someone that you're not. There's always going to be people who are better than you because they put in more time or more practice, but just be who you are. And again, I believe disability or not, anyone can do what they set their heart to mind to do as long as it's practical. My books could be found on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, and I believe they could be ordered at any bookstore or library. For Unstoppable, if you put like on Amazon or the internet, Unstoppable Kenslow or Unstoppable Matthew Kenslow, it'd be easier to find. And then on social media, I post daily on TikTok and YouTube under my name, Matthew Kenslow. I've been posting like daily shorts and reels and TikToks of autism awareness and acceptance from my firsthand perspective. I also post on like Facebook and Instagram under my name too.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Now, do you ever find anybody who doesn't suffer from autism that they try to be like you? Because that would be amazing.
Yeah, I guess not definitively yet.
But as far as it takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there in social media. I don't care who you are, because you're not going to get a whole bunch of people that agree with everything you say or do, and sometimes people who suffer from sadness, any type of emotional or mental health issues, they don't like what's in the comments. They don't like what people are saying, the feedback of their project, and then it just leads into depression. So it takes a lot of courage to come out on social media, do TikToks, giving your own perspective of how you feel, your day in the life with Matthew, right? And do you even read comments of somebody saying anything that's like it really piss you off, anything like that?
I have over the years. I mean, I read pretty much every comment that I receive, and like 95+% have just been positive comments, and a lot of comments saying, thanking me for how I worded things, or saying that I'm giving them hope or encouragement. But then there have been other comments, like comments that told me, don't start a family, we don't need more weirdos, they said, or basically to kill myself and all that. And I've literally got those comments, and sometimes I just have to say, Like, don't let that stop me or run my life, but also forgive. And if you respond to a comment, like if I respond to a comment like that, I mean, I try to be as nice and as I could be without condoning what they said, but still be nice about it.
Yeah. The thing about it is always going to be trolls on social media. You're not, everybody is not going to be happy for your success. They're not going to celebrate your success on any level. Some people are just so miserable in their own life that they'll find anybody to latch on to share their misery with. And I feel that with social media, a lot of these internet trolls are safe behind a keyboard, saying all type of crazy stuff. And but you can't let that stop you, because you are unstoppable. And sometimes the comments on my end too. Oh, you can't do this and you can't talk about that. I'm like, who said it? This is from my own personal experiences. I've done it. This is what I'm doing today to maintain a healthy lifestyle and all these great things. So, staying out of the comments is best. Like, but you can't help it. It's human nature to go and read, because you want to know if you're getting some feedback for everything that you're doing, some positive feedback. So, when people say, don't start a family and go kill yourself, oh, like, you're just miserable. You see what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
any decent human being will never tell somebody else those type of things. But I commend you. It's a lot of work, and a lot of people are suffering from uh, autism, and they need help. They need a role model. They need people that's going to encourage them to, hey, go back to school, uh, exercise, write a book. It can be done. And a lot of successful people in this world came up with the autistic stigma, a diagnosis, and I see them here on the other side of the spectrum, living their best lives, being productive citizens and not being disruptive. It's a beautiful thing. So I think that you've come a long way at 29, and you should really be excited about what's next on your journey, and just figure out, like, what else can you do. Because one thing I know for certain is that it's an exciting feeling to wake up every day and be expected to do something. Like, okay, what's next? Like, I got plans. I know what's next, but one thing I like is the unpredictability of blessings that come. Like, I wasn't expecting that, but it's just the work that you put into the universe that is reciprocated back to you on a daily basis. So the more you give to people wholeheartedly, helping people to get to the next level in anything they're doing, that energy goes to the universe and then it comes back, and you can feel the abundance in your life. And when you do that, it's just a beautiful thing, man. You have over 1 million followers. You've been on major networks. I'm super blessed and to have you on my podcast, and sharing your story and sharing everything that you're doing. And you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me. So I really appreciate that, for sharing your story. And not only that, like, I have a family member who suffered from autism, so this is going to be beneficial for me to share your story with them, to make sure that they purchase the book, they listen to the podcast, and they can really follow you as an advocate. And so this is really beneficial for myself as well. So we really appreciate you for taking time out of your productive day and coming over here and talking with me. And we really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, Matthew. Okay, so let me tell you something. Matthew Kinslow, you don't have to utilize your disability as a setback. Look at it as a setup, as a superpower. When you look at it, okay, just to say you're diagnosed with it, you'd be like, let me do my research on this. Who else have done amazing things? What was their blueprint? How did they survive? How did they become a productive member of society? What was their road to success? And you follow the blueprint. And then you make it your own. You put your own little twist on it to fit your personality and stuff like that. And, and then you succeed. Don't look at it as it's going to be a problem. It's only a problem if you make it a problem. But it could be one of those superpowers that, really helps you to blast off. Like Matthew said, he's unstoppable. He's using that as a title, unstoppable. So most people are like, how he unstoppable? And he's telling you, he's showing you how he's unstoppable, right? He's telling you like, hey, I went to college. Hey, I teach. Hey, I play instruments. Hey, I write books. It's like, that's unstoppable. Okay, it's an amazing thing, man. So you make sure that you follow him, check out everything he's done, get his books, and support him. Be a avid supporter. We are here. And then just really, really keep encouraging him, man, because he's doing amazing things. Mr. Matthew Kinslow, we appreciate you, Matt. Appreciate you, man. It's a big deal for me. I feel in my heart that you are going to go so far. You're going to do amazing things still. And you're going to contribute on the global stage still. And a million people is not enough. Everybody needs to know who you are, what you do, what you're advocating for. And we're going to do our best to help push your story out there and make sure that people who are in need get the support that they need from you, because you got firsthand experience. You've written about it, so that make you an expert in the field. You're not just talking about it. Like, look, I lived it. I wrote about it. Trust me, I know what you're going through. I know what you're feeling. So, and that's what it's all about, man. We really appreciate you, Matthew. Ladies and gentlemen, Matthew Kinslow, we know that you're going to love this show. We ask that you share it with everybody. And happy holidays. That's just it, man. And we talk to you guys later. Have a good night.